Today we're talking about the spiritual component of life that makes us human and completely human. I spoke about the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and I mentioned that there's one very important component, which is the spiritual. Why am I saying it's the most important? Reason is they say save the best for last. That's why I'm finishing off with the best one, which is the most important one. Because without this one, your life is not going anywhere. Doesn't matter how well you master the three components, your physical, your emotional, and your intellectual. Doesn't matter how well you master that, but for as long as you don't have this fourth one, your life will be a mess. But the problem is life will confuse you. Life is funny sometimes. We live life, and to other people will look like we have everything in control. But deep down inside yourself, when you sit down and you interrogate yourself and you just sit one-on-one with yourself and ask yourself a few questions, you realize that you're not really happy. You are missing something. Sometimes you feel like you're empty inside. Have you ever felt that? Where you feel like, I have money, I'm okay, I'm going to school, or I have the education I need, I have people around me, but there's something missing. Do you ever go through that kind of situation sometimes? Here's the thing. People and animals are very different. Actually, we are all creations, we are all living things. But then there's one thing that makes us different. A dog has emotions. Do you know how I know a dog has emotions? If you go and kick a dog, it will react. It will react out of an emotion. And it might even bite you because it has an emotion. It can be happy, it can laugh. Not sure, but yeah, it can laugh. It can cry. I've seen dogs cry. It can express emotions that we as human beings express. We also have the same things. A dog has the intellectual component. It can think. Not to the capacity of how us as human beings can think, but it does think. A dog has the physical component. Because obviously when it's a dog, it has to have a body. So we have these three things in common. The physical component, the emotional component, and the intellectual component. But there's one thing that sets us apart. English. There's this thing that I read this week. It says, what does it say? It says English, whatever. There's no master of English. If you have a problem with me, only judge can guard me. So I found it very funny. Yeah, I'm just sidetracking there. But the most important thing I'm talking about here is that the three things that we commonly have with animals is the physical, intellectual, and the emotional. What sets us apart is the spiritual component. Because us, as human beings, we are given the spiritual component to help us direct our lives, to help us live our lives in a particular direction. Look, you can have all the wisdom in the world, you can have all the knowledge in the world, you can be emotionally stable, you can be physically fit, but if you don't have the spiritual component, you're good as nothing. You're as good as nothing. That's why a lot of people, Dr. Miles Monroe used to say, a lot of people die without having discovered their ultimate purpose in life. A lot of people are living a purposeless life. If you can ask a person, why are you alive? A lot of people cannot answer that question. Why? Because it's not easy to find who you are when you don't have the spiritual component. The spiritual component is very important to direct your life. That's why when a child is born and you ask them, what's your dream? Or what do you want to be when you grow up? They will tell you. Because we see visions as human beings. For as little as we can start thinking, we start seeing visions. And that is our spiritual component connecting to our maker. I don't know where your beliefs are, and I'm not trying to push a religious kind of thing here. But I'm just trying to put facts as they are facts. We are connected to our maker through the spiritual component. Our maker has put himself in us, and we need to manifest according to how he wants us to be. not the way we want to be. The problem is sometimes we act like we have everything in control and we can control things the way we want them to go. You see, sometimes that's why people go through pain, because this is what the Maker does. He makes us go through the necessary pain in order for us to experience the necessary change. For us to change, we need some kind of pain sometimes, because as human beings, we're just stubborn. You see where the problem is? Human beings sometimes are stubborn. There is a force that is pushing you to a certain direction, but you just want to pull back. Because you have a will, you have choice. You can do whatever that you want to do. And that's where the problem is. Sometimes we need to just let go. The problem is we want to keep holding on. We want to keep attached to situations. We want to be physically attached. If I don't understand something, then there's something wrong. If I cannot figure out 1 + 1, then there's something wrong. That's the problem. Sometimes certain things are just meant to be a certain way. We don't need to understand them. And that is, we're gonna only understand that part when we are attached to our spiritual component. Sometimes you'll try all that you can. Have you ever found yourself in a deep situation where you think, like, is this gonna work? Is my life going in the right direction? Sometimes you feel like, I'm adding this, but it's not adding up. I did this, not adding up. And Murphy's Law comes into play. When something goes wrong, it will go wrong. We get to that state in life. And I believe that sometimes we just need to let go and allow the higher power within us to direct us, to take us where He wants to take us. You see? So, invitation is simple. For as long as you want to live a complete life, doesn't matter how much you master your life physically, doesn't matter how much you master your life emotionally, doesn't matter how much you master your life intellectually. If you don't have the spiritual component that directs you in your path, you will not be able to see your vision. You will not be able to live a life of purpose. That's my invitation today. Get in touch with your spiritual component, because without it, you are nothing. You see what I mean? Here's the thing, you will realize that on my theme, on the YouTube channel, I said relationships plus money plus the relevant education equals success. You might be wondering, why do I say that? And where am I talk structured towards that? You realize that for the past few videos that I've been doing, they have been dealing with the human being, individual human being, to make you a good enough person to qualify to be in a good relationship. Because the problem is, we go into relationships with our broken selves. You are scared of yourself, you are scared of confronting yourself, but you want someone else to deal with you in a relationship. So it will not work. Any type of relationship that has to work, you must be good first. You must go there as a good enough candidate to be in a relationship. So if you have these 4 components in life, spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and the physical, you are a complete human being. You are ready to get into any type of relationship. But now here's the thing. The question is, how do I merge all these things and become a good candidate to be in a good relationship? Let's put that for the next week's episode of The Miracle Perspective. We are going to be going deeper into understanding, how does money affect our relationships, and how do relationships affect money? And the relevant education I'm talking about is exactly what I'm doing. This is the education that directs you into living the life that you're supposed to live in order to get what you want. Watch me next week on The Miracle Perspective. Miracle Perspective. Miracle Perspective. It's finished.